All the aspects this last week of the year require efforts, much common sense, groundedness, and maturity. Very excellent to wrap up 2024 and prepare for the new year to come. What else can we expect? This is what we shall find out here today. Good morning, bonjour, Michelle Karen, astrologer, shaman. Welcome to my channel dedicated to the practical uses of astrology to lead a better life. Tuesday, December the 24th, Jupiter is square Saturn. Changes are in the air. Family issues could feel oppressive and somewhat limit our freedom. Business and finances could be a cause of stress. We could be faced with unexpected bills or be required to take care of a loved one. We could also suffer from a lack of professional opportunities, and our long-term planning is likely to be a little insufficient. Because of a low sense of self-esteem, we could be reluctant to take responsibilities, or on the contrary, could be so overconfident, self-indulgent, and ambitious that we find that the price to pay is rather hefty. Plagued by a certain feeling of restlessness and uncertainty, the advice of others is not really helpful. Even though we are not quite sure what is wrong or whether or not to move ahead or stay put, something seems definitely off. It may become obvious that we have become slaves to a dull routine or need to walk away from familiar circumstances. Despite setbacks, disappointments, a tendency to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and restrictions on our natural expansiveness due in part to our difficulty to recognize our own limitations, we manage to remain optimistic. We are required to reassess people and situations in our life as well as our moral standards, persevering through the obstacles with cheerful dignity, accepting people and situations with tolerance, being law-abiding, and taking the middle road between our need for security and our longing for freedom bring positive results. The work we tackle with discipline and enthusiasm ends up being very productive. If we manage to demonstrate patience and serenity, remain careful with our finances, and if we can, of course, change a boring job for an activity that releases us from limitations, what we start today, even though it will take time, effort, and organization to develop, in the long run will be very beneficial. The decisions we make now have a big impact on our future. Thursday, December the 26th, two aspects, Mercury opposition to Jupiter and square Saturn. This is a great day for any work requiring heavy mental focus, high critical faculties, and disciplined thinking. Yet we could feel communication restrictions and be a little anxious. If a situation seems too good to be true, it probably is. We are not exactly diplomatic and could be so honest that it brings us trouble. Promising more than we can deliver is tempting, but should be avoided. Professional dealings tend to be both boring and exaggerated. Not a good transit for business transactions, negotiations, or signing legal papers, which could prove in time more costly than they are worth. We tend to be concerned with unimportant details, caught up in monotony, and overwhelmed by difficult problems. Our imagination is rather limited, so this is not a good transit for any task requiring creativity. A certain narrowness of vision, anticipation of failure, misplaced overconfidence, or spontaneous changes we did not calculate the consequences of properly could be more damaging than constructive. It is recommended that we get absorbed in an all-consuming work, strictly respect law and order, focus on practicalities, and keep our opinions to ourselves, as communications tend to be a little awkward and misunderstandings could easily happen. Estrangement, especially from friends, siblings, cousins, and neighbors, could result from excessive suspicion and worry, prejudiced views, and possible jealousy. We could get tied up in tedious meetings and then miss an appointment we were really, really looking forward to. This day is best used keeping ourselves to ourselves, observing a rigid routine, clearing our desk of backlogged work, enjoying a nice hike in nature, planning a long distance trip, taking an interest in a foreign culture, and most of all, do our best to interact with positive, open minded, enriching people. And finally, Friday, December the 27th, Venus is square Uranus. A certain restlessness, nervousness, even rebellion mark this day. A strong urge for change and stimulation could bring out our flirtatiousness and make us jump into an exciting affair. However, sooner rather than later, it may prove unstable, maybe even destructive. Rather irresponsible with regard to our existing commitments, we could endanger them to the point of outing ourselves from a real one. Or we could find that a family member starts to act in volatile, unreliable, unpredictable, eccentric ways, seeking so much emotional independence that we become estranged. The swift changes are either exciting or upsetting, depending on how ready to go with the flow, how open and flexible we are. There is not always a lot of consideration for others with this transit. Our impatience could be easily triggered. We may quickly get into arguments, even fights. But the good side of this transit is that outmoded or unsatisfactory relationship patterns are brought out into the open so that we may establish more positive connections with those we cherish. We are attracted to unique, unusual experiences, but the key is to remain as calm and measured as possible. The sudden changes in our social life make us meet interesting new people. We could also come across old friends, but may soon realize that they have evolved so differently from us that we have too little left in common to even want to rekindle our relationship. Because this transit does not make us particularly cooperative, it is not the best for public relations. We should also be careful with money. Impulsive spending is not a good idea. We could find that our finances are rather unstable or that we are faced with unexpected expenses, which make it difficult to enjoy things that we really would like to have. Our artistic tastes and what we find beautiful may become more erratic and sometimes even totally strange. If you are already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. Your comments are always appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to place a thumbs up and hit the little bell to be notified when I upload a new video every Thursday and sometimes another one during the week. Remember, as always, choose your battles, walk in beauty. Thank you for watching. Until next time.